I want to say this. To all of us, God is speaking all of the time. And you need to begin to perceive and look for ways that he uses to speak. And so for us, it's been in the natural. The houses that we live in have reflected seasons of time. So most recently, we just moved, but I never really put it together that there was possibility, not all the time, okay? There's not, God, right when we think that we got him figured out and how he's going to speak, guess what he does? He changes it up. Why? Because he never wants us to get into a religious routine of trying to figure out what he's saying. So he'll probably change it up on me now that I'm even saying this to you, but I never really thought about, wow, I'm moving and there's a season shift. So when we first came down here, we moved to the only city we even heard or knew about in South Florida. We'd never been here. We never knew one person. I didn't do any demographic studies on South Florida, so we moved to Coral Springs. Coral Springs is a great place. It was awesome. We lived there for 7 years, and on our 8th year, we transitioned east. Because by that time, we had the ministry center here and all those kind of things, and it just made sense. Our kids were going to school close by. We transitioned east. Well, in that season, the glory of the Lord began to visit us in our home. Okay? Now, why is that important? Listen, more than God showing up in our meetings, first and foremost and foundationally, he wants to meet with us in our houses, with our families, with our wives, with our kids. And so he started visiting us. My wife caught on fire. You guys can see that all over her and in the stuff that God's doing through. It's amazing. But while she was in this house that we were living in, she had a vision, a dream that we were in another home, and out the window she could see water, and the water began to rise and came into the home. And it was the glory of the Lord. It was a season of increase that was coming upon us. Long, crazy story how we ended up finding the house that we now personally own. We're homeowners again after 5 years of not owning a home in Deerfield Beach, and it was a foreclosure, an auctioned home. It was incredibly difficult to purchase. Let me say something. When you're trying to buy Jesus, sometimes things are not always easy, my friends. You know, this gospel doesn't come cheap, all right? I'm not talking about houses. I'm talking about the Lord. If we really want God, right? You know, it says that, man, he's hidden himself so that kings could search him out and try to find him, right? And he's not playing hide and go seek so we never find him. He actually wants us to find him, but he's looking for the hungry. And so, anyhow, long story short, this house, materialized miraculously, literally, and it was a house that Wendy chose. And how many of you know God wants the bride to choose her home in every way? Naturally, our brides, let your wife choose your house, man. Come on, somebody. Let them choose the house. Don't come in with your man cave ideas and the this and the that, and it's not going to work for you, okay? But he wants the bride of Christ to choose the house. What do we want? What do we want? Do we want Jesus for real? I just feel like a hunger increasing in the earth for those that really want the Lord. And it's like, this is where it's coming down. It's like, what kind of house does the bride want? Do we want his presence? Do we want his voice? I know myself and our team and our staff, we do. And I think our core leader, we want the voice of the Lord. So anyhow, there's this image that she gets, well, our house, you can see water out from the back of it. So we're like, oh my gosh, this is the vision. So I'm in Colombia. A team represented the Lord, represented our house well, got the attention of everybody. And the main speaker the last night, he goes, before I begin anything, I want the whole Harbour team to stand up. And he started to prophesy from Colombia as an American over our church about the season that we're in. And it was, I'm telling you, like shock, like waves were going through my body. I was trying to just contain myself as this was being said over us. He said, you guys are an apostolic center. I don't want to use like random out there language. What I think he was inferring is that there's influence on us, in the region that God wants to grow into our nation and ultimately into the nations of the earth. That's going to be built around the Lord, around a team that's committed to each other and together in the apostolic gospel of Jesus for the glory of God in the nations. And he said, increase is upon you guys right now. It's a season of increase. It's a season of expansion. You know, because we've been waiting even for the whole West Palm corporate expression for a long time. And it just affirmed and confirmed to me that we're on track. And he said there's blessing coming in every direction. He said, I don't have time to repeat everything he said, but he said crazy things like there'll be so much financial resource flowing through our house that will be lending to ministries all over the world. Lending. And when I heard lending, I was like, with no payment other than the glory of Jesus respected in return. Does that make sense? So it's like something is on us. And he said, you guys are building family. He said, you're building family. And the way that you're building family, people are going to come from all over the world and see what you guys are doing, what you've tapped into in Jesus. He said, it's going to be amazing. And he said, and you're building leaders. He said, I see so many leaders being raised up and being utilized in this church. It's incredible. And you're going to touch that region in a powerful way. Many things were said. So it got my attention. And it was actually a culmination of a journey that I'd been on over the summer. I've been going to North Carolina to do flight training. I tell you all kinds of crazy spiritual principles, y'all. Like I think I've mentioned some of these, but when you're training in instruments like I've been, your body will feel all kinds of things that aren't really happening, and you are convinced that it's really happening. I mean, one time I'm under the hood is what it's called, where they put this thing on. You can't see anything outside. All you can see is all the instruments before you on the panel, the cockpit panel. And I'm in there and I'm looking at my instructor and I see my heading indicator totally turn like this. And it's run by vacuum, so sometimes that fails and it gets stuck. And I'm tapping on the glass and I look over at my instructor and I go, Chuck, look at this, man. The heading indicator has broken, it's tilted sideways. And he was so gracious to me, so calm, just like the Father is to all of us, right? This guy's 75 years old, 45 years as a TWA captain. He's like so calm, doesn't say anything loud. He goes, Darren, take a look at your turn coordinator. And the wings are totally turned like this. He says, you have us in a 45-degree bank right now, heading straight for the earth. Yes, sir. Another time, this is crazy. Another time, I am telling you with everything, I would have bet $1 million. I was certain we were in a climb. I could feel it in my, anyhow. We were climbing. And so instantly, this is based on what I feel. I push the nose down. We weren't in a climb. We were in a straight down descent, and I helped that bad boy out. And I didn't even realize until I see the altimeter going, and the airspeed indicator, The thing is that God, where we're flying and the heights that we're going, I mean, seriously, y'all, you have got to trust what God is saying. Way more than what we're even feeling.